we go. Right. The local government and third sector is very familiar to most of the people in this audience. So I wanted to sort of bring in something else. So going back to Peter Drucker, some of the key tasks, as I remind you, in purposeful innovation are to observe what's going on elsewhere and orientate yourself in preparation for the decisions and the actions to come. So one very important elsewhere that we mustn't ignore is the private sector itself. It's highly competitive, and it really is survival of the fittest out there. So innovation is key to what they do. So digital era technologies and practices have already disrupted whole industries out there. It's coming our way. The folks who are out there have been there, done that, and they've got the t-shirts. So I'd like to invite Stacey Perry and Mel Ross of Adapt to Digital to tell us their story from digital innovation in the private sector and about our collaboration that we've been working on. Thank you.
I think we have to wait a few seconds just for the slides to move over. We've got them. Thanks, Andy. Hello, everyone. We're hugely excited to be here today to talk to you about what we've been developing with Socitm. But the key thing is that it's started with a story in the private sector. So what we're going to share with you over 10 minutes with 40 plus slides, and we're going to do it in 10 minutes, we promise, is our private sector story.
Okay, so to begin our story, Mel and I have been working in digital for the last, well, combined 25 years with a real passion. Sorry, I missed the fireworks. There you go. There's a real passion for how digital can create compelling audience engagement, as well as help businesses become more effective. And just as Andy has said, you know, we are private sector bunnies, so what we bring today is our experience working with consumer-focused brands in highly competitive market sectors. One thing we tend to find is there's always an elephant in the room. I mean, certainly a lot of meetings, conferences, and networking events we've been to. We would just like to bring this elephant out into the open because it tends to help.
Digital. Now, we know the subject of today's conference is digital, discover it, do it. We're hoping that we can bring a little bit of digital, be it. As a word, digital really does lack any standard meaning, and it's become open to infinite interpretation by anyone anywhere. And actually, I'm just going to quote Adrian, because we were at a conference last week, and Adrian said, it's probably easier for us all to define what it's not rather than what it is. So just for the sake of our 10 minutes, what we'd like to do is we'd like to say that in our story today, digital means the ongoing potential created when ultimately technology and audience collide. Now, the word audience, when Stacey and I talk about audience, means 4 things. It means customer or citizen, stakeholder, supply chain, and employee.
So Mel and I have been working with some of the most kind of famous, well-known brands in our previous lives. So brands that are really famous for their ability to continually innovate. We've experienced their methodologies, we've been immersed in their philosophies. They all have a clear focus on audience and the customer. And that doesn't mean just giving people what they want. We believe it's way more than that.
And we all know the Henry Ford story about the motor car, and more recently with Apple, they launched the iPhone and then they launched the iPad. In private sector for us, what we've experienced is knowing how to introduce innovation to an audience at the right time is absolutely crucial. They provide innovation that helps our lives move on.
However, this is not a big business story. For some time we began to realise that these methods, these philosophies, should and could be made available to all businesses, helping them better keep pace with an ever-changing world and deliver innovation regardless of industry or sector or size. And we believe there are 3 words that can summarise what these businesses do, and we want to be able to share these and help others achieve them.
First one's engaged. It's not surprising, but these guys take it to the nth degree. They really are great engagement brands. Next is innovate. They're continually showing innovation, and they're always doing it at the right time. And the last one is adapt, and that's the most important word of all, definitely for us. They're adaptive in everything that they do because it's an ongoing basis. They're never about a one-hit wonder.
And so we looked at the market just to see what was available as a complete business solution to be more adaptive to digital change. And what did we find? Well, pretty slim pickings. A simple business-wide solution based around continual change was lacking in most services available. And we wanted to do something about that.
So we jumped ship. And we left relatively well-paid jobs. That's Stacey. And that's me.
Used to be blonde.
And we started to research some of the common traits of other businesses that were really using digital to the best advantage.
And so, a little bit like modern day digital Robin Hoods, we began to take this knowledge and share it. So formulating our own method to help customers adapt to digital.
Right at the very start, it was pretty simple. It was a mixture of analysis, consulting, and a wee bit of mentoring and training. But under the brand of Walk Digital, we've been delivering project-based services for over a year now, and some really fantastic results. One of our first customers we worked with right at the very start, at analysis stage, we saved them about £40,000 and nearly tripled their sales in over a 3-month period. But it just wasn't enough for us. We knew that we weren't actually moving the whole circle. Digital change, by its very definition, actually means ongoing. And I guess just like the title of the earlier session with Matt and with Steve, the digital journey is never complete, as continuous improvement is always possible. Thanks, guys. Because we realised we were delivering projects and we wanted to move it on. We wanted to create something that businesses could use continuously and over time. And that's when the partnership with Socitm began.
So we believe a fundamental shift is needed. This might be a little bit controversial, but most, if not all, solutions and services, they still point to a single digital transformation project as a way to take advantage of what digital has to offer. And it can certainly take you from point A to point B, say if you need to move to a cloud environment or you need to implement mobile access for one of your services, to Amanda's presentation. But to provide you with the knowledge, the support, the measurement of ongoing digital capability and competency, we really believe that that doesn't work today. So we're at the point where we knew we needed something which focused on engagement, on innovation, and provided an ongoing solution to businesses to help them become adaptive.
So it's more like a mindset change. So it's thinking less about doing more digital and thinking more about being digitally adaptive. Digitally adaptive as a definition for us is when a business is able to adapt to digital change on an ongoing basis to achieve business advantage and to meet or even preempt the audience expectation. So how do you exactly create a solution that helps businesses innovate, that helps them increase engagement and be continually adaptive? Well, that's a really nice segue into the reason why we are here and we've been asked to speak at the Innovation Showcase.
So what's the innovation? Well, today, Adapt to Digital, in partnership with Socitm, are really excited to officially launch our digitally adaptive approach to the public sector. It's the creation of a software-led service that helps businesses assess their digital readiness and helps them to adapt and provides the knowledge and support so they can keep pace with ongoing digital change. Because we really believe when it comes to keeping pace with change, it is about becoming digitally adaptive.
Now, let's not forget, and we think few people have actually referred to this, the world is getting faster and it's getting harder and harder to deal with it because of one fundamental fact, which is what we call the digital vortex. Things are getting faster, people, machines, devices, and the world around us is becoming more connected, closer to a moment of zeitgeist, 100% connectedness. So it's against this very backdrop of constant change that we realised that businesses needed to find a way to keep pace with that consistent, continuing delivery of citizen and customer value. And that's exactly what our approach aims to deliver. So, given what we've shared so far, what does the approach actually look like? Well, it's simple, so it can be business-wide. It's internal, so the business remains in control. It's led from the top to ensure clarity and to ensure focus. And it's also audience-focused and mapped to business objectives to ensure you stay on course and remain results-driven. So overall, the approach is in 3 stages. It kicks off with some senior management workshops, and then it heads straight into the first stage, which is all about discovery, and then moves to the second stage, which is about key findings, and straight through to the third, where the business starts to become digitally adaptive and starts implementing continuous digital improvements. So the digital engagement map, it's a comprehensive and accurate assessment of your whole business. It comes in 4 parts. It looks at quantitative data, so such as performance and engagement, and it looks at qualitative data, including customer input and surveys, and finally it looks at trending data to identify any potential disruptive forces that could affect your business. So that data is then analysed and it's presented to the business, showing your digitally adaptiveness against what we call our digitally adaptive framework, a 5-level framework. So what it does, it looks across your business at digital capability, competency and people skill, and it goes top down from leadership, governance, compliance, all the way through to audience experience, audience understanding and audience engagement. It'll also benchmark against peers and to the general market segment that you exist within.
And then from the digital engagement mapping stage, we identify what we call digital improvement pathways. A digital improvement pathway is an audience-focused change initiative, so we always start with the audience. The data is input into the platform as well for additional analysis and value, and then through a trainer-trainer concept, we then prepare the whole business to be able to identify and use their own continuous digital improvement pathways. And that's really key, because everyone in the business has the ability to identify a digital improvement pathway, just like iPod from what we heard earlier. And as long as it's audience focused, it's mapped to a clearly defined business objective, then we believe it should be actionable.
So, a quick recap. It's not about thinking about single change projects when you're thinking about the whole business. We want everybody to start thinking about digitally adaptive and to keep pushing to become more customer focused, to fight for a business-wide adoption, and we shouldn't be settling for anything less than a top-down, a top-down leadership approach. And also remember that it's not about creating it once, it's actually about creating a habit of change. So we're already seeing the approach actually working with some of the businesses that we have in the private sector, and we've transitioned them over to the solution as part of a pilot. And why we're seeing this change is because the approach is really simple. It's also cost effective, and the potential to see cost saving fairly quickly is realistic.
I guess that's our story. That's our story so far. And we don't want this to be about thank you and goodbye. We really think it's a really big hello. We are actually going to be with Socitm on the stand as well, just throughout the day. So we'd love to speak to you, come and have a chat with us, see how we can help you become digitally adaptive yourself.
And please do follow us on Twitter, or feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn. I'm just going to hand over back to Andy now, because I think we're heading out to lunch soon. But please don't forget, #digitally adaptive. Thank you very much.
Thank you.